To the Redmen TV, I am very privileged to be standing here with Les Wright, the ambassador for the 23 Foundation, and everybody will know, friend of the show, Darren Foley. It's been far too long, mate, first of all.
First fan. I was your first fan, I really was, and sometimes I feel I should get those benefits of, like, I'm a subscriber, listen, I still watch the show and all that.
Really?
Yeah, look, it's been a while. I don't know why my invite hasn't come to get back on the show. I'm still waiting for
You keep saying, get some hobnobs in and get some brews.
Yeah, but that's an important part, though, for me. Listen, there's been times I went down, and listen, you do a great job, but when you don't get offered a brew, it hurts, emotionally hurts. You've got to have, hobnob, yeah, but even a chocolate digestive, I'm not going to judge you, just whatever you want to bring into the show.
Well, listen, we've got a few people watching at the moment, and we're here for a great cause. We're here at the Ladder 23 night. It's a joint initiative, I suppose, for the 23 Foundation and the firefighters charity. Les Wright, ambassador for the 23 Foundation. Tell us a little bit about how the evening came about and why you're doing this.
Well, basically, we were approached by the firefighters charity to consider whether we could do it like a joint venture. And obviously, post-Grenfell, things were a bit tough for all the firefighters, both emotionally and physically. I said, yeah, why not? Let's do maybe an evening with Jamie Carragher. Well, these sort of things take 12, 14 months to plan because of the sheer size of the event and also the people involved that you want to kind of add flavour to the event, such as Darren, such as musicians that we've had playing the harp and that sort of. So we look for people to actually input on a voluntary sort of basis, so we can actually maximise our givings to those most in need.
I think that's right, isn't it? And Darren, you've obviously decided to get involved on this. It's two great causes, isn't it, Darren? Why have you personally got involved?
Oh, listen, it was a no-brainer. I remember when I took the call from Les a while ago, and it's a no-brainer. I mean, the firefighters charity, I mean, these fellas are heroes, aren't they? I think we all know that. That's something that was drummed into me from a young age, with, like, my mum and family members or what. These fellas go out and risk their lives for everyone. And I've done stuff before for the firefighters charity, and I'd do anything because it's a privilege to come and help them. I always say, they thank you, but it's almost like you saying, for me to be a part of it, it's lovely. 23 Foundation, what can you say? It's amazing, like, the work Les does and the guys, including Jamie, what they do, just an incredible charity. So when to come down and be able to help these guys and that, is fantastic.
That's it. I mean, I've got a real insight into what type of work these guys do, and I've been involved for maybe 3-4 months now with Les and with everybody else and Jamie and stuff, and the planning and the time that it takes to put on an event like this and to really try and raise funds for these two charities is unbelievable. One of the things that we're going to have on later this evening is Jamie Carragher will be doing a Q&A with Richard Askham from the BBC. We've had Willie Miller, comedian, hosting the evening. He's been fantastic so far. But he has absolutely been fantastic. And then, Darren, you're going on. Have you got a little glimpse of what we're going to see from you later?
Yeah, to be fair, you're going to see a variation of many characters. I mean, it depends what character you want. You'll get a bit of Harry Kane.
Yeah, obviously. That's not Darren Foley, though, it's me. I want to claim that. Yeah, obviously.
Bit of Harry Kane, bit of Phil Jones. That kind of thing, really, you know what I mean? It's not normal, that is it? I'm sorry. It's just not normal. Me kids just think I'm weird, and I can see why now, to be fair.
I can see why as well, Darren. I've known you a long time, and I think exactly the same, mate. Les, you've put on a fantastic evening. We're going to go to a video now of to explain a little bit about the firefighters charity, and if you can, please help donate to these two great causes. The revenues are shared 50-50. We're going to go to a video for the firefighters charity. Just watch it. It touched me. I was nearly in tears watching it, and these are the guys that are doing great work for us around the country.
I've done 30 years in the fire service, started off obviously as a fireman, firefighter now, and finished as an operational station commander, serving at Radford Road Fire Station in the centre of Coventry. You did what you joined for, which was to go out and look after and save people and maybe put yourselves at a reasonable risk to save somebody else. I mean, some of the incidents I've been to 2 air crashes where everyone was killed, and we stayed on scene to cut body parts free. House fires, I've had people that are just burnt beyond recognition, and I've had people that we've been brought out of the buildings and you've been working on them and they've died and took their last breath while they've been with you. You can't always save life, but 99% of the time, you know, you do have that good thing where you cut someone out of a car and they leave and they're well and you feel like you've done a good job. Thoroughly enjoyed my career. I'd do it again straight away. Retired in January 2013. Pleased to be retiring and thought nothing was wrong.
It was just totally different. I expected him to be happier because he was retired. He decided he wasn't going to do another job. I thought bored or depressed, that's how it came across.
Which one's your favourite then? Look at you, look, he's got hair there.
That's the long service medal for 20 years, long service. And that's extra congratulations we received after a serious house fire in Coventry, where sadly the people died in the end. Things started to happen where certain high-pitched noises like tannoy noises, smoke alarms, vehicle reversing, lift doors opening, anything that's sort of a beep, 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 that's an alarm base that's to get the attention of humans to keep them safe, started to have sort of really terrible effects on me.
He started talking about self-harming and suicide. It's not the best.
So I started to look for help, went to the doctors. They said, we think something's sort of obviously wrong. Ironically, I had started to look at PTSD kind of websites because I just felt that something wasn't right. Some friends contacted the fire service and they said to ring the firefighters charity. Got in contact with them. I went down to Harcombe House for a week at the end of March, where myself and 7 other people from the fire service, some retired, some not, all with health issues, were looked after for a week. And I can honestly say the firefighters charity, getting me down there and giving me the week down there, definitely saved me from considering doing more serious self-harm and possibly stopped me committing suicide.
That's the strangest and the hardest thing for me. I don't know why.
The horrible thing with this is you can't control your own head. For all of my life, I thought I was in charge of my body and my mind, but actually your mind's in charge of you.
It's just upsetting to see your husband going through so much when outwardly it doesn't look any different.
I hadn't got a clue what they did and I just expected sort of very basic stuff, but what I got was absolutely first class, well understood, appropriate therapy for firefighters.
And then when he came back, I don't know what they did in that week, but it sort of changed him.
The physical things they do, the exercise they get you to do, releases like natural endorphins that give you a high when you're low. The kind of meditation side that I've done helps you to calm and focus and stop thinking about all the other stuff. And all the things they've given you over 1 week. And they're not just there for that period of time, they're there on the end of the phone.
He's never going to be fixed, he's never going to be the same, because they've said that he just has to live with it now. But he's just so much better, so I can't thank them enough.
Don't sit in silence, don't sit alone, don't see it as a weakness. They do help and the support is immeasurable. I'm still sat here, so please benefit yourselves and your family, contact the charity and use them.
You are proud of it, aren't you? Proud of what you achieved as well.
Oh, yeah.
If there isn't a tear in your eye, I don't know what's wrong with you, honestly. I watched that video for the first time and I was welling up, I really was, and I was so close to tears because these guys do an incredible job. And I'm with Alan Nell now, regional fundraiser for the Firefighters charity, who's put an awful lot of time and effort into this evening tonight, and it really has been fantastic. We're looking forward, Alan, to seeing Jamie Carragher next up with Richard Askham and then Darren Farley. I promise no more pulling on the heartstrings videos, but Alan, just tell us how important this event is for both charities.
Yeah, so I mean, for both charities, it's about the awareness and obviously raising money. Firefighters charity alone, we have to raise £8.5 million a year to keep the services going. If a firefighter becomes injured, it's generally goes to the NHS like me or you do, and they do suffer horrific injuries. The mental health, though, is the big one, and certainly with Grenfell, the mental health cases we've had from such harrowing scenes that they went through tonight and the mental stress of going to a building that they think was going to come down on top of them, it really does take a toll on our firefighters. But who helps the heroes if they get injured themselves? And it's nights like these where we kind of put it all together and raise the money so we can keep giving a vital service that's been going for 75 years now, and keep it going and keep evolving and keep improving.
And how has Jamie been involved in this, and what type of an influence do you think he's had over the event? Yeah,
well, I've had a few meetings with Jamie now, and I can honestly say, what a fella. He generally cares about his community, but also, you know, he appreciates the jobs the firefighters will do for our communities as well. I mean, every town, city and village has pretty much a fire station sitting in it, so Jamie's been very supportive and proactive with us in helping us to raise money for the charity, not only his own charity, but teaming up with another great organisation, in the Firefighters Charity, and helping that keep going as well, yeah.
I can't wait to see this now. We've obviously, as I mentioned, we do have Richard Askham and we do have Jamie Carragher on stage next. It'll be a Q&A. Stay live for that. Leave us your thoughts, and if you've got any donations and you can spare a few pounds for two great charities, then the link is right underneath me and it's in the description. You'll be able to click that link and you'll be able to donate. We've set up a Just Giving page, and I know this is a slightly different content to what us at Redmen TV normally do, but it's for such a great cause. It's such a pleasure to be able to sort of give something back in just a small way, and if you can donate, please do donate. As I say, it won't be long now. What was the food like here at the Titanic Hotel? Because it looked fantastic. We were promised sandwiches, mate, and we didn't get any sandwiches, by the way.
You didn't get your sandwiches? Oh, heads are going to roll.
Why are you still standing here? Go get me a sandwich, like, do you know what I mean? But what was the food like? The Titanic have been brilliant.
Titanic, it's an amazing venue for a start, and the history of this building we were stood in took a direct hit to the Second World War. 3 firefighters were killed in this building, so there's a lot of history here, but they've been fantastic. So proactive in supporting the events, and the food is just, yeah, it's better than what I'd have had at home tonight with the missus anyway, so probably nothing. You know, so she's probably watching this. I'm dead now. But yeah, it's good to have so many people coming in supporting such a great cause. There's so many people who are not making a penny from tonight, you know, and it's all about that community coming together and supporting others, isn't it? So I think
that's right, Alan. I'll leave you to it. Thank you so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. So I've got literally no idea how long there is until these two guys come on stage. I was promised about 2 minutes. I'm going to have to drag my old pal, my old mate, Mr. Paul Machin, in with me. What we'll probably do, Paul, is just talk about how good Liverpool are and how easy it was to beat Manchester City.
Yeah, great. So I spent yesterday talking to a Man City fan who was particularly salty about that. Man City fans, as it turns out, really unhappy with Liverpool, and you know what? How good is that? How good is it that the best team in England, the best team in the world, whatever, don't like us very much? That means that we're doing something very, very right at the moment.
I can't believe it, Paul, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to the game against West Bromwich Albion at the weekend. I was doing my audio test for this. I could probably do my starting 11 prediction show exactly as it is. Again, I've done so many audio tests today, mate. It's been absolutely ridiculous. But are you excited for this game? Because we missed you on the Umbu.
I am not excited for that game. I haven't had a chance to think about it, Chris. I'm exactly the same position that I was in prior to the Man City games. Even at the Merseyside derby, in the middle of it, my focus is Roma. My focus can't be but Roma. And the best thing about it, though, is that I think we've seen the manager and the way that he organises things. There's just no, well, West Brom might do a number. I'm sure Man United fans were pretty confident they were going to get a win last weekend. But I think we know that we've got the perfect setup right now to get the right mindset for the players going into that. They're all dead focused on it because they all want to just turn around. So, do you want to play against Roma? I do, boss, yeah. Well, put your finger out, play against West Brom, smash West Brom off the park, and then you might have a chance of being involved in the Champions League semi-final.
Do you think Jurgen Klopp will go full strength for this game? Because, you know, we've been debating it in the office while you've been gallivanting down in that there London all week about it. You know what I mean? We've been putting the hard hours in. You've turned up late tonight. You're probably going to get a butty without doing much work. And I'll be honest, Paul, I'm disappointed, but I don't know your feelings on it. Is Jurgen Klopp going to put a strong side out?
100%, yeah. I think there's you might see, maybe we'll see Nathaniel Klein if he's fit. Other than that, I don't see any reason why not. Look, we've rotated for the first half of the season more than any team in the history of the world ever. managed to do all right as a result of it. That's why we did it, so that we can get to the business end of the season and conduct ourselves in a boss tournament in a business-like fashion. 2 tournaments, to be fair, into the Premier League. And I think unless there's injury issues, I'm getting a bit sore there.
No. I'm actually starting to think about the Chelsea game, and I've got no idea what the score is.
We'll find that out now.
1-2-1.
Hi.
Yeah. 1-2-1. Ew, divvy. That's gutted. I really hoped that we'd have top 4 showing up this weekend, and I thought that that might even give us an idea of what Jurgen Klopp would do in this game. Obviously, you mentioned there Nathaniel Klein's going to start for you. Do you think it's just going to be the front 3?
Yeah, I think we'll just play the best possible team we've got available, and I think a lot of that will be dependent on who played in the last game and what have you. So Milner will probably come in, because the odds of him missing 2 games on the bounce is a bit slim off the back. And it might, I don't know whether he plays a team that informs changes for Roma, or whether he plays exactly the same team, because we've seen that as well. We've seen him go same again. So, there's a case to be made. We'll find out who his best midfield 3 is, because I think Gini Wijnaldum might be in that best midfield 3. I think we've written him off because Milner's been so good. But Oxlade-Chamberlain has been fantastic in the big games as well. Gini Wijnaldum has stepped up, particularly in the Etihad. And look, we know he loves Jordan Henderson. He loves Jordan Henderson more than fat people like cake. Big fan of cake.
And I love cake, like I'm telling you. Paul, one of the things that we were speaking about on the build-up show earlier in the week, and again, I've not heard your thoughts on this so far, is that Darren Moore's come in, he's doing a good job at West Bromwich Albion, he's drawn a game against Swansea, 1-1, I think it was. He then goes and beats Manchester United. They're technically not dead and buried yet, and this side is now playing for a manager that they really respect by all accounts. I think it was Pardew back in December or November who promoted him from a youth team coach to actually a first team coach, and now these fellas have got someone there who they can sort of hang their hat on, and they want to give him the job full time. I think the Baggies fans want Darren Moore to have the job full time.
Yeah.
Is there a danger there that we're slightly overlooking West Bromwich Albion?
We are. We, the fans, are 100%. But as I say, I don't think Jurgen will for a single second, because ultimately, look, you see this all the time. You get a bit of lads. I'm not sure that they're playing for him so much as they are not playing for Pardew. You know what I mean? Like, you'll play for anyone just because it's just you're not having Alan Pardew in your life with him dad dancing all up in your grid, like, you know what I mean? So anything will be a relief by comparison to that. Seen it happen. That's what Everton had, that bounce factor with Bobby Martinez off the back of Moyes, because all of a sudden it wasn't a fella tying people together with rope and saying running lines in a back 4. It's a fella going, go, be free, big, express yourselves, and West Brom got a bit of that. Look, Jay Rodriguez is a threat. Scored again. He's got 7 in 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah, he's got 11 goals all season, and then you got Rondon behind him with 9 goals, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, they've played a bit of them to a top. Jay Rodriguez is a threat, and I remember saying this going into the FA Cup game. Everyone's forgotten that he exists. He was one of the hot up and coming. If he hadn't had the bad injury problems, he'd probably be a Liverpool player right now, and we'd know loads more about him. He's a goal scorer. We've come up against goal scorers. This is one of those games where, provided Liverpool treat this with the absolute utmost professionalism, then our class should tell. You don't come into these games and go, we're going to piss this, because we look at West Brom have caused us too many problems.
This Liverpool side don't take teams for granted, Paul. This year, Liverpool manager doesn't take teams for granted. The fan base might at times, but then we've got bigger things to think about. We've got a Champions League semi-final with Roma that we're looking at. Tottenham obviously drew earlier on in the week, Paul, and you're looking at that going, we're fighting for third now. We know thirds. It's important to Jurgen Klopp. He wants to. You said it yourself, was it on the podcast this week? You want to see gradual improvement, and you can hang your hat on going from 4th to 3rd, and Liverpool fans can look at that, and fans from around the country and go, shit, they're improving, and they managed to get to the Champions League semi-final.
Absolutely. Listen, you're dead right. I covered it far better and far more succinctly on the podcast, but no, you're dead right. When I saw the Spurs results and I saw the way the table was lying, I was like, yes, because you look at the goal difference between.
We're still second in that, by the way.
We Liverpool look like a team that deserve to be higher than 4th in the table. I've been saying that all season long. Man City stripped a bit of the context away from this season. I think this in any normal season, maybe not a proper title challenging, but I think we'd have been in the conversation a little bit longer than we have been.
You put a little bit of pressure on a team above you, Paul, and 7 points might become 4 points or 5 points, and then questions are asked in their heads mentally. Are they able to stand up to that pressure? Manchester City haven't had that all season long. They've been so far away for so long that even when they had their 3 defeats in a week, they just wrapped it up at the weekend and they didn't even need to play. Do you know what I mean?
I know, you saw that, the performance at Wembley, where they're just like, no, we're just going to play how we played. That teeny tiny little wobble, and they went, nah, no more of this. We're going to knuckle down and get it done, because they were never going to lose 4 games on the bounce. But you're dead right. Man City was set up to get the points early. I think it's interesting, because I actually think we were set up similarly, and just injury problems and maybe losing that Man City game in the way that we did cut the legs off that for a little bit for us. But you're dead right. It would be nice for Liverpool to be a bit more involved. But the best thing is now, at least we've got the European Cup thing. Will we progress past the semis? Who knows?
We've got the best chance though, haven't we? I think I don't know. I mean, I really wanted the Roma draw. I think Real Madrid and Bayern Munich over 2 games is very, very tough, and that's no disrespect to Roma, by the way. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But I just thought that they were the easiest route to the final, Paul.
Yeah, this is where everyone goes, Roma wanted you. Of course they did. Of course they did. That's the point we're making. Real Madrid first favourites, Bayern Munich second favourites, Liverpool third favourites, Roma fourth favourites. Everyone wanted Roma, then us, then Bayern, then Real. That's the basic order thing. It's no disrespect. It's just the way it is. If you were going into that game, why would you not? Well, now there's all well and good saying, oh well, because I'd have been happy with Real Madrid. I'd have been happy with Bayern Munich. I had no problem with Liverpool facing anyone, because we can beat anyone. But if you had to boil it down, you trust Real against Bayern Munich. There's 2 teams with equal awe in Real Madrid's history, far, far greater European history than us. One of them is going to get knocked out. If you can drag your way past Roma, and it's not going to be a free-flowing, scintillating attacking, we're not going to snot them off the park, because they are going to be far more compact than maybe either them 2 opponents, the other 2 I've talked about, would have been. But you get through there, and you're in a final, and you know what? Whatever happens, and that's the sensible way of doing it. If you're a gambling person, that's how you would want the draw to have fallen. So I see no sense in being upset about it. Why get wound up by it?
It's not fans of Liverpool that are getting wound up, though. It's fans of other clubs, or maybe it is some fans of Liverpool thinking you're taking them for granted. We talked about it just a minute ago. This manager does not take teams for granted. These players will be watching Roma. These players will be on the phone to Lucas Leiva, by the way, and be speaking to about it, because they've played them this week. They had a tough game against Roma, obviously a big draw and stuff. It looks like something's happening. We got Willie Miller, the comedian, behind me. He looks like he's starting his microphone, so we're going to go across to Willie Miller and then Jamie Carragher and Richard Askham.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement. I'm sorry, I can send somebody's car, and it's the owner of a white Seat Ibiza in the car park. The announcement is you've got a shit car, mate. All right, so
I'm so glad that was a joke.
Get shut of that, will you? Just get a Mondeo or something. It'll be far better than that shite. Right. I think you've all got the feel of the evening. I think there's loads of people came up and had the photos with Jamie. They've had the photos of the European Cup. And all in all, it's just a real good night. There's just a real good atmosphere in here. The one name that is sold tonight is Jamie Carragher. And for those who know him, and there's a lot of people in here, his family and friends, you'll know what a great lad he is. For those who've only seen him on the football pitch, we know what a great footballer he was. And also, for a very short time, he was half decent on the telly at Sky as well. Oh, no, I'm only messing. No, he's still working for Sky. He's doing 10 dishes a day he's fitting, so he's doing all right. Still getting a few quid in. It saves him getting blisters on his arse doing nothing, so all in all, everyone's happy. But I'm not allowed to interview him, believe it or not, because we've done quite a few before. What we're going to do is bring in a professional, a guy who knows his sport, and a guy who you see on the BBC on Northwest Tonight, who does a fantastic job. Richard Askham has joined us tonight. You'd like to come up, Rich? And here is the other chair reserved for a guy who does so many of these and he gives up his time, and he's just a fantastic guy, and he's a legend. Jamie Carragher. Over to you, mate. Good luck.
Thanks, Willie. How are you, mate? Good to see you, mate. Yeah, very well. Evening, ladies and gents. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good. I'm
Fancy
glad to hear
seeing
you're
you here,
doing
eh?
it rather than Willie's doing it.
Yeah, this will be easy. This will be easy. There's so many things to talk about with you, Jamie, your career, your life, but I'm a simple man. So, yeah, shift round. Yeah. So let's start sort of the beginning. You grew up in a football-mad family. See your dad down there. And you started playing football from a very early age. Just take us back to those days. You're playing for Merton Villa, Bootle Boys and so on. What was an 8-year-old Jamie Carragher like?
The same as the 40-year-old Jamie Carragher. Had a lot to say for himself.
Really calm?
Yes. Had a lot to say for himself. Loved football. My first memories of football was watching my dad's Sunday League team on the pitches around Liverpool. One of them was actually now Liverpool's academy. That was in Kirby, Windy Harbour. She used to go and watch the grown-up Merton Villa. I played for the kids team. Then went to start watching Everton as a kid. Obviously born into an Evertonian family and an area, really. It's still like that now. The area where we grew up was a big blue stronghold at that time. And I was just like any kid in Liverpool, whether you were a red or a blue, you were mad on football and you wanted to become a footballer. And I had no idea. Obviously, at that age, you know, we all have dreams the same as everyone else. But obviously, early on, playing for Merton Villa, which is a Sunday League team, Bootle Boys, which was the district. Now, unfortunately, for young kids now around Liverpool, those teams have gone. It's more people go straight into the academies now at Everton or Liverpool. So, who knows what was best? But that certainly worked for me. And playing for Merton Villa up and down, you know, Crosby district and Bootle and Crosby it was, the league. Then we went to the Walton Kirkdale League. And, I mean, great days that you always remember, and you think, you know, what did it give you to then go and become a footballer in terms of toughness and the people you played against, the pitches you played against.
Did that make you the person and the player that you became?
Yeah, I think so. I think it shaped me, the people you come up against. And let's not forget, Liverpool people, you know, everyone in this room, a lot of people in this room are from Liverpool. They've got that sort of grit, determination. That's how people are in this city. And every young kid in Liverpool wants to be a footballer, and they also know the people they're playing against a competition. So I was as competitive as anyone, but you come up against people, always good players, who you still remember to this day, who never quite made the grade. But playing at that level, playing for Bootle Boys, that's where I first come up against David Thompson, who played with me for Liverpool. He played for Wirral. So you come up against these lads and players. And when people, obviously we're going to speak tonight, obviously, your football career, and when people think, oh, my football career or any other footballer's career, they always think of when they made the debut at 18. I always think of my football careers when I first put my first pair of boots on. For the school, for Merton Villa, for Bootle Boys, that's my football career. That's where it started, and as I say, got a lot of help and from a lot of different people who helped you along the way, and I'm fortunate enough, I was lucky enough to make the grade.
Oh, this isn't a terrible question, Jamie. You know me well
Don't
enough
ask it.
to know it might be. But I was just thinking, because those formative years were so strong for you, that when you ran out at Anfield later on or wherever, we all dreamed, don't we, of growing up, scoring a goal in the FA Cup final or whatever.
I scored an own goal.
You did. I'll come to that. Did you sometimes sort of flash back when you were out at Anfield to those early days when you were a child at Merton Villa and so on?
Well, I think, listen, whatever level you play, obviously the levels go up, the ability, you need more, all these different things come into it, but you never lose. I don't think I ever lost what I had when I was 7 or 8, which was an unbelievable determination to win. I've always had that, and I don't think you can put that into someone. I think you either just got that or you haven't. And listen, I think most people who make the grade have got some sort of definition of that, but I think there was probably very few people when I was a kid who had it more than me, and very few people when I was playing for Liverpool who had it more than me. And that's one of the reasons why I played for Liverpool, or I played my whole career at Liverpool. There's probably plenty of players who we had who people may say had more ability, who maybe didn't achieve what I did or stayed there as long as I did, and that was all just through determination and grit. And again, that comes from the upbringing of being from, you know, this city, the town I was from, Bootle, Marsh Lane, these places, and the people and the people around you, really, who instill that into your dad, your family, people around you, even going to the Everton game later on, being around the boot room of Liverpool, all these characters, you're just picking up different things all the time, and it makes you who you are, and of course you have to take that forward into the game.
You started to become known as a player when you were in your teens. You went to the FA's School of Excellence, where I think I'm right in saying, Jamie, that anyone who swore had to run around the pitch. There's a vicious rumour going around that
running.
you were the fittest person in the squad.
Yeah, they didn't take too kindly to a chippy Scouser up at the national school, so it was things were done really properly, if you like, FA's way, and it was different from Liverpool, where I was, and it was all the best 16 players in England. We all come together. It was me and another Scouse lad. Jamie Cassidy, unfortunately, didn't make the grade. He had a few bad injuries. And we went down there, you know, kids from London, Birmingham, all these things. But we never, ever lost that determination to win, coming up against these lads who were some great players. And that frustration would come out sometimes if you couldn't win or you couldn't do what you want. And the odd naughty words, as we say in Liverpool, that we all piss ourselves laughing when our own kids say it when they're little.
With a stern face.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd always end up having to do a little lap for Mr. Blunt. But listen, brilliant time that. It's been closed down, the national school, and I think it is a sad thing that for the FA and the people you mix with, and what it did for you as a footballer, training against the best players in England every day, playing international football. It was a great start. I had to move away from home, and you're talking about sacrifices you have to make. That's what I had to do at 14. My last 2 years of school, I moved away to Shropshire. We used to come home every 3 weeks for a weekend, and then every 6 weeks for a half term. So, but you know, great days that you look back on, and these are the things that you have to do to try and get where you want to be.
When you finally broke, we're going to see some of your best bits in a moment. When you broke through to the Liverpool team, I'm going to skip forward a couple of games. You came on as a sub twice, didn't you? And then you made your full debut at Anfield. What was that like?
Well, you know, I've got a lot of things because I was at Liverpool so long that I can look back on, you know, over 16, 17 years. And if someone said to me, name your top 5 games or your biggest, the most important things. Now, people always look at the trophies, and we know Istanbul, of course, that would be number 1. But in there has to be your debut, and it has to be for every player, because I always think when there's a lot of talk now of young players, do they get enough chances in the game? You can't expect 20 games. You're going to get 5. 5 chances, whether it's a couple of subs, a couple of starts. If you don't take your chance, you'll never be seen again, no matter how good you are. So the big thing is, if I don't do what I did in that Aston Villa game, who knows what happens to your career, where you go, because the manager hasn't got confidence in you then to keep picking you. And that's what you have to do. You have to give a manager confidence to pick you, even though you're a kid. So I was 18, playing midfield, got booked after 20 seconds.
Took you that long?
Yeah, exactly, on Andy Townsend. Would have been a red card today, no doubt about it. And I scored, would you believe? And the thing about it was, I always imagine Liverpool supporters coming out the ground that night thinking, right, we've got another goal scoring sensation from midfield, Scouser. But he come 2 years later, his name was Steven Gerrard. But it wasn't the case for me. I went further back. But yeah, I always think you need to make your mark on your first game. I've done it on Andy Townsend after 20 seconds and done it with getting a goal at the other end, done okay in the game. And that gave the confidence to the boot room, if you like, Roy Evans, Ronnie Moran, Doug Livermore, who were there when I first made my debut, to keep giving me chances in the team, and that's what you need to do.
I think I'm right in saying, Jamie, that the one thing that you hadn't thought about before that game was scoring a goal, and that you hadn't thought about a celebration. What did you do?
I always say, I mean, when I watch the goal back, no one was marking me. And I always say, because they didn't have a fucking clue who I was. I always say that. Who's this skinny kid from Bootle who's got the red shirt on? No one knew who it was. I get free, scores a goal. I think Gareth Southgate, the England manager, was trying to mark me. Hopefully he does a better job in the summer. But the celebration, no, I mean, you wouldn't think. I just remember, it's only when you look back, I just go running away. My knees are going everywhere, my arms are going everywhere. And I just always remember the noise of the crowd. I always remember that night, went out for a few drinks with a few of my mates after the game. And the noise kept coming back to me. It's not there now. I didn't have it many times since. But that was the one thing I always remembered, the roar of the crowd. You think of the buzz goal scorers must get, you know, some of the great strikers that we've had. We've got Salah. At the moment, that buzz of the crowd, the noise, the adulation, you know, when you get that goal. And long may it continue for him, but I'm just pleased I got 5. And I always say, when people say you never scored enough goals, once you've scored on your debut at the Cop, there's not much else you can do.
Quite right, Jamie. We're going to talk about 2005, obviously, and your career in more detail in a moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at a few of Jamie's best bits. Brilliant stuff. When you look at that, Jamie, I mean, let's talk about 2005. Obviously, you'd won the treble under Gerard Houllier. But 2005 is the moment, isn't it? When you just to go back to the start of that season, when you started off, did you, as an individual and a team, did you think you had a chance, or did you think no chance?
No, we wasn't thinking about winning the Champions League. We were just delighted to be in it. Really, I think that the season before we got to the last game of the season, I think we had to get something against Newcastle. We got that, and we qualified for it. Change of manager, because at that stage, even qualifying for the Champions League wasn't good enough for Liverpool. Rick Parry, David Moyes decided to make a change, brought Rafa Benitez in. So we're just delighted to be in the competition, but we weren't really in the competition. We were in the qualifying round. Ends up beating Sturm Graz, Rafa's first couple of games, so we're in there. And we're in a group with Deportivo La Coruña, Monaco, Olympiacos, not the biggest of names, but La Coruña had been to the semi-final the year before, Monaco had been to the final. So I think, and that's certainly been the case then, and probably is now, even, listen, we could do something special this season. I think we haven't been in the Champions League that long now, for the last sort of 10, 12 years, that once you're in it, I think people just think, just let's get out the group and see what happens, and let's just enjoy it. And that was certainly the case, I think, this season. And listen, it could be another Istanbul, fingers crossed. But I think certainly that season, it was a case of, again, let's enjoy it, let's get out the group, and let's see what happens. And that's the way it was. And we got out the group, and there's just so many great nights. The Olympiacos one, I mean, is right up there with some of the best nights in Anfield history, European, for what Stevie did. The Andy Gray commentary, when the goal goes in, was always great to hear that from a blue. And it just went on and on. I mean, the Juventus was a huge game. Beating them, obviously the two teams getting together after Heysel, what had happened, I think 20 years before. So there's so much emotion around that game. And it wasn't until we beat Juventus and knocked Juventus out that I actually thought, we've got half a chance here, the Champions League. And the same as Liverpool should think now, was once you're in the last 4, you can't not think about winning it. And I'd say it was only when we got to the semi-final with Chelsea. Not that I thought we would win it, because Chelsea were big favourites. There was still AC Milan. But we're in there. We've got a chance. And the Chelsea games were just... I mean, it's difficult for me to talk about the atmosphere, because when you're playing, you realise it's a great atmosphere, but you're so focused on the game, you can't take it all in. But I was in the crowd for the Man City game, and I think, can Chelsea be more atmosphere than this? It just didn't stop all night, and the crowd, you know, cheering the lads on. And to be part of that was just a great buzz for me as well, because obviously I'm not going to get that buzz again of playing. But for Chelsea, for me, I always go back to the last 6 minutes at Anfield. But there was 6 minutes added time, and everyone was just waving the scarves around their heads, as they were a few weeks ago against Manchester City, and hopefully we will be next week against Roma. But it was just brilliant to be involved in a game at the end of it where we'd won. And I'll be honest with you, I loved playing for Liverpool, you know, thought I deserved to play for Liverpool because I was there. But before we got to the final 2005, I didn't ever think I was good enough to play at that level. You know, of the Maldinis and the Baresi's and the Van Basten, you know, all these greats for Barcelona, Milan, consistently you'd watched year in, year out, winning Champions Leagues. And yeah, okay, a couple of English teams won Man United in 99, but it wasn't an English thing that we dominated the Champions League, really. It was always the Italians or the Spanish, and I used to look at those players in awe and think, I'm not at that level. Yeah, I'm delighted playing for Liverpool, I'm going to do my best for the club. So to actually be playing in a semi-final with the world watching, doing okay myself, and then getting to the final was a case of course you want to win it. But it's a bit, oh my God, we're in the Champions League final. You can't actually believe that you're there, and we are there. And then the miracle of Istanbul, really. And I think for any team, I think our team this season, if we win the Champions League, we can look back at the City games, Roma, whoever you beat in the final, if it happened. Whenever you win the European Cup, it's unbelievable. It can't be topped in the domestic game. But for what we did, it's actually one of the greatest games of all time. How the game went. And that's just a privilege for me when you play for a club as big and as world-renowned as Liverpool, who've won everything. You can never... It's very difficult at Liverpool to do something that's never been done. Really, it's just because we're such a great club, everything's been done. But to play in a game where people will say, I would say most Liverpool fans would say, it was the greatest game in the club's history, again, is an unbelievable privilege for me. But to play in that game and the legend Maldini scores after less than a minute, and then it goes 2-3. And to be honest, we won the Champions League, but we weren't a great team. I mean, you could see that in the domestic league. It was just a bit of a miracle that we got there. We got together. The fans roaring us on at Anfield. It was meant to happen, really. But when it went 2-3-0, I think most people around Europe watching that game was thinking, finally, Liverpool is showing the true colours, or what we'd expect maybe Juventus to do to them, or Chelsea to do, but we'd got through those games. And you think, can you beat 3 top teams, really? So we get to 3.5 time. I don't think I've ever felt lower coming off a pitch. Everyone in this room knows me, has watched me play for Liverpool. You know what I'm like. I'm always shouting or arguing with someone, my own teammate or a referee. I come off at half time, I've just got my head bowed because everyone's giving it everything. It's a Champions League final. It's the biggest game of your life for everyone on that pitch. And they're just too good for us. It's AC Milan. I mean, the names, you're actually thinking, how did we win? Maldini was playing Stam and Nesta, the 2 best centre-backs in the world. Pirlo and Gattuso, who won the World Cup a year later. Carragher, the best Brazilian at the time. Shevchenko, the best centre-forward in the world at the time. And you just scratch your head how we did it. But we come off at half-time, and credit to Rafa Benitez. He moved things round at half-time. Brought Didier Man on. And then you go out and you're thinking of supporters. Your own family more than anything, really. People had spent a lot of money. There's been a lot of build-up to the final. And I always say, when I was coming off as well, what I was thinking about was, I watch a lot of football. And I remember years gone past, I'd watched AC Milan beat Barcelona 4-0 in a European Cup final. AC Milan had beaten someone else 4-0 in 1989, I think it was Steaua Bucharest. And I'm thinking, coming off, has anyone lost the final 5-0 or 6-0? And if we'd have lost that final 1-0 or 2-1, Liverpool fans would have still said, what a journey we've had. We've loved it. The trip here, okay, we never won, but, what a season we've had in terms of the trips and the celebrations. But if you lose 4 or 5-0, it's that embarrassing that it sort of wipes everything else out. You couldn't have talked about the Chelsea game or the Juventus game or Olympiacos because you sort of, in some ways, you want to sort of forget about it because you've embarrassed the club. And that's what I was thinking about, the great name Liverpool have in Europe. You're sort of blackening that name, really. And then we come out at half-time. There's always some people I speak to about the game all the time who say, I always felt we'd come back. I didn't think we would.
I was at the game, Jamie, I didn't.
No, okay.
Not at the time.
You're one of the... had that reality that we had in the changing room. I think it was a case of, can we get 1 goal to give the supporters something to cheer about? So we get to the 1 goal. I mean, unbelievable header from Steven Gerrard, that. It sometimes gets sort of forgotten how good a goal that was.
Yeah, in the ground, you've spoken in your book about the fans singing at half-time, trying to urge the players on, but I felt that was the moment when Steven Gerrard scored where it changed. Did you feel that on the pitch?
Yeah, I think so, because people always have this feeling that after half-time we come out all guns blazing and scored 3 goals. It wasn't like that if you watch the game back again. AC Milan look more like scoring a fourth than we do a first before Stevie gets the header. And I think what that did was give everyone hope that something might happen. I don't think there was a massive belief, okay, we're going to get back into this game. But I think with the second coming so quickly, I think the belief come then. And I think you knew. I knew then. Not what's going to happen, but we're going to get back to 3-3. There's no way this isn't going to happen. I think when Smicer scores, if you notice, if you watch it back, no one celebrates with him. Everyone runs back to the halfway line. It's get the ball right. Something special's happening. I end up coming out with the ball. Stevie gets a penalty. And when Stevie goes down, I'm closer to him than anyone. I'm a centre-back. So these mad, strange things happen. I always go back to being a kid on playing Sunday League football or playing for the school. When you were losing, you'd want to win that much that you'd end up just running around the pitch like a lunatic. And I sometimes watch that 6 minutes of Istanbul and think, that's what it was a bit like. Going back to playing in, the schoolyard at St. James's on Marsh Lane where, there's 5 minutes till the dinner bell goes and you've got to get a goal and you just running around.
You normally got one in those days.
Yeah, I got them then, but Stevie used to get them. But we get back to 3-3 and then, to be honest, we're just hanging on for dear life.
And then when you, obviously, extra time and then penalties, what was going through your mind, Jamie? Was it just like a dream? Could you not believe it because, the way the game had gone and it was such a remarkable victory? How did you feel at the moment that Jerzy Dudek saved that penalty?
Well, that is the greatest moment in football in my career. If you ask me where I'd love to go back to, would be the moment that you realise Jerzy saved it and we're all on the halfway line. And there's lots of pictures of Istanbul, different things, celebrating with the cup, the game, whatever it may be. But the one where we're all on a line on the halfway line and it's like a 100-metre sprint and someone, someone set the gun off and we're off. And it's just that moment we've won the Champions League. And throughout my career, I was always told I was a slow footballer.
But you won, didn't you?
I got there first. I got to Jersey first, and that, I was just running. I remember, obviously, we just seen the pictures then, and you normally see people when they run to keep their old pile on top and all that type of stuff. I couldn't. I had that much energy and that euphoric. I wanted to scream, shout, dance, whatever you want to call it. I had to just keep running and jump, and I ended up jumping straight over the hoard and straight into me family where they had tickets. I didn't even know where they'd be in the ground, to be honest, and you end up finding them. And yeah, that's, you can never beat that. I knew that afterwards, we could never beat that as a footballer, as a feeling. Hopefully we can get close in Rome if we win 4-3 rather than take it to penalties or do something similar if we can get past Roma. But no, and again, I go back to that being probably number one night in Liverpool's history, and to be part of that is a privilege when you think of the men and the players who've gone before.
It was an astonishing victory. Do you get the feeling that maybe for Liverpool it is going to happen again this year, that there's a sense that Liverpool could do it again?
Yes, I think when you get to the last four, I think all four teams will think that. I think for the draw Liverpool have got Roma, I think it's a good draw. But I also say Roma will be thinking the same. Because I think Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are the two powerhouses who've got that great European experience. And of course, one of them is waiting in the final for ourselves or Roma, whoever that may be. And that'd be an extremely difficult game. And they'd be favourites, whoever the team would be. So Roma and Liverpool are outsiders. I think Liverpool will fancy the chances. But will be slight favourites, I would say, against Roma. And then if you can get through that and you get to a final, anything can happen. Now, Klopp's European record is fantastic. He's already taken us to a final, unfortunately, never won that. And that's been the problem with Liverpool of late. Not just Jurgen Klopp's team. Probably even you go back to Brendan Rodgers when we just lost the title. Even though we haven't won a lot of trophies of late, and probably in the last decade, we've come close so many times. Finals, obviously the league. And we just haven't been able to make that final step. And that's what the team I played in, even though we never won the league, we could make that final step. And to be honest, I don't think very few of the teams I played in are better than this team. maybe the one under Rafa Benitez, but that team never won anything. With Torres, Stevie Gerrard, Alonso, all these players. So there's very few players, I think. I think we've got a special team at the moment. I think we've got a special manager. And I think there's only going to be great things going forward. But even if we get better next season, it doesn't mean we're going to be in this position because it's a cup competition. When you get a chance to win the Champions League, you have to take it. And I think there is a great opportunity because I think possibly the two best teams in Europe have gone out in the last round. To Roma and Liverpool, in Man City and Barcelona. So it's a great opportunity that you can't let slip, really. And fingers crossed you get through Roma, then you find yourself in a final. And if Liverpool do find themselves in a final, this team, or Jurgen Klopp, they've got to find a way somehow of getting over the line of winning a trophy, because we've lost 2 finals under Jurgen Klopp. Brendan Rodgers got to 2 semi-finals, I think, in one season. The year before, we'd lost the league. Kenny, we lost an FA Cup final against Chelsea. So a lot of these times now we're getting very close, but Liverpool Football Club is about winning trophies. You have to win. There's no good just playing for Liverpool. You've got to win. So when we get to finals, the club and the crowd expect to win. And that's what we've got to get back to, that tradition of winning big games.
There's a youthful hunger, isn't there, in the team? We're just chatting at the table about Trent Alexander-Arnold coming into the team. Just about whether he now feels truly like he's arrived as a Liverpool player. Did you have a moment where you felt that, where you knew you belonged at Liverpool?
I think the moment for Trent really was maybe the first leg of the Man City game. Now, if he'd have played well or poorly in that game, or he played poorly in that game, he was fantastic. He was man of the match. It doesn't mean his Liverpool career was finished or anything like that. He's a young kid. He's going to have ups and downs. There's no doubt about it. You just watch him and you look at the shape of him, the way he plays. You know he's going to be a star. He's going to play for England. He's going to have a long career at Liverpool. But there were a few eyes on it, and that shows the temperament, the ability he's got. With that pressure of playing against Man City, probably the best team in Europe, playing against probably the best wide left player in Europe at this time in Sané, and to produce the performance he did shows he's going to be a special player. He'll still have ups and downs. He'll still have poor games, as young players do, and defenders, and make mistakes. That's all part of his learning. But in terms of me, I can't remember a game as big as that I played in at such a young age. We weren't at the level of this Liverpool team. But I don't think there was possibly a game where I thought, okay, I've arrived, because I always had a fear that someone would take me place, and I think that drove me on throughout my career. And that's why I played so long at Liverpool. And I hope Trent's got that, because it's a good thing to have, where you never think you've made it or you get a little bit cocky. You've always got that worry there, that thing that you never switch off. You never want to ever give anyone an inch or an edge to take your place. And that just drove me on from my career. So I never felt I'd arrived or I'd made it as such in terms of my position in the team. So hopefully Trent's got that as well.
Do you think that hunger is still there in young players in the same way, Jamie, as it was, when you grew up playing street football and then local league football and so on? Is it still there in the academy system with the players that come through now?
Well, I'm not in that system. I don't deal with the players. But the things you hear now, it's not. Now, is that a lot to do with money? That the clubs are so desperate not to miss out on young talent that they pay them money, or they get bigger wages than ever before, or there's agents involved, or mothers and fathers getting different things. Does that lessen the hunger, and they haven't got that drive to go forward? What I'd also say is there's certainly a lack of opportunity for the young players to prove that wrong, because every time young players don't come through, we say, oh, they haven't got the attitude, but a lot of it is opportunity. And I always think to myself, I hadn't been given that opportunity by Roy Evans. You can't show what you can do or what you've got. And just fortunately at this moment that we have a manager at Liverpool, I think, who looks like he wants to give young players a chance. And I was fortunate we had that at Liverpool, and players who come before me. But yes, people throw that accusation about, and you're not going to change it until players come through. But is that going to change until the pressure on a manager's job is going to change, where a manager could have a bad 10 games and then all of a sudden he's lost his job? Is he going to take that risk with a young player?
Just a couple more questions, Jamie. There aren't many players who have a chant like you had. We all dream of a team of Carraghers. How did you feel when you first heard that, and what game was it? Where were you?
I thought, about time. The first time I heard that was Leverkusen. It was part of the Champions League run. And there was a few songs came out for different players at that time. We had the, obviously, my one, We had the Ring of Fire for the team, if you like, the Istanbul run. And yeah, it was fantastic. You know, I was about 26, 27, so it took about 10 years to get one, but not many players get one, so delighted to get one. And it's gone on from there, and it is a song I'm proud of, to have a team of Carraghers. A lot of boring games, I would say. A lot of yellow and red cards. Maybe the odd own goal.
Wouldn't have conceded many, would you?
No. It'd have been... we'd have parked the bus quite often, but, I mean, that was my job in the team, to stop them at one end and probably Stevie and a few others to try and get them into the other end.
Just finally then, Jamie, obviously you had a long and distinguished career. When you look back, what makes you the most proud about your career at Liverpool?
I think the fact that I played for Liverpool my whole career, that was always in my head, that, really. I always think about players. How do you leave Liverpool? So there's only two ways. Either Liverpool, you're not good enough for Liverpool no more, and Liverpool move you on. Or, in the odd exception, someone actually becomes too good for Liverpool at that stage. Maybe like a Suarez goes to Barcelona. Real Madrid wanted Stevie. Now, I was never in that position, but if you were in that position, would you have left? And so then players get criticism, and the ones who have to move to a lower level probably getting criticism before they leave because they're not quite good enough for Liverpool. And I never wanted to be in that position, in either position. I always just wanted to be good enough for Liverpool. And I think the most proud thing was I'm one of the very few players now for Liverpool or in the modern game who've played for one club. And that's why I retired, really. People always say, oh, why don't you stay on another year, or different things. But I never wanted to be... listen, at 35, I wasn't the 27, 28, 29-year-old Jamie Carragher when I was at my peak, but I could still hold my own. I didn't want to get to a stage where I was embarrassing myself or killing the team, or, you know, people felt like they had to carry me, or these different things. So I wouldn't have wanted to have done that where the supporters actually want you out the team and they've had enough of you, because that is part of the game. You know, no one's bigger than the club. And so it was just right for me to go out then. So I never had that problem of, did someone want to sign me or did Liverpool want to get rid of me? It was just nice for me to finish my career at Liverpool.
So it was just pride in playing for Liverpool, the big thing.
Yeah, I just don't think I would have been able to play for another club. You've been just, I mean, it's not even from the first team, it's going there from 8, 9 years of age and just having that instilled in you, playing for Liverpool, the people, Steve Highway, the boot room people, all the foreign managers, Houllier and Benitez, great influences on me, Brendan Rodgers, Kenny Dalglish coming at the end, and all these people you've been along. It's your club. It's like being a supporter, isn't it? You know, I was just about to say you don't change. I started Everton fan.
Well, I did. Yeah. I was going to bring that up.
But once it's been your club, and people say to me, now, would you be a coach or a manager? I mean, I don't think I could work for another club. Or it just wouldn't have that same passion. It wouldn't feel the same. If you were at another club, the first thing you'd be thinking is, how are Liverpool getting on? You know, those type of thoughts would be going through your head. So, no, it was always... And that was where the fear came from as well. I didn't want to play for another team. Now, if I'd have been sub for Liverpool, I would have played for another team because I couldn't be a sub. But that was the determination as well. I didn't want to move to London or Birmingham or up northeast, somewhere like that, and move my family and my kids out of school. So that was always a big determination for me to stay where I'm from, live in Liverpool, and play for Liverpool.
Jamie, thank you very much indeed. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Carragher.
Thanks, Richard. And thanks very much to Jamie Carragher. Thank you very much. Guys, we're going to have a very short break, 5 minutes now. We're going to have a 5-minute interval, and then we're going to move on. If you are walking out to the back, and you walk along the front, please. We have an incident here, so if you walk along the front and leave us some room there, we'll see you in 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
For he's the one who taught this happy heart of
there you go.
mine.
Paul, that was absolutely brilliant.
You know what? Incredible. I've been to a lot of after dinner events with Liverpool players and what have you, and they're all fascinating in their own way. The thing about Jamie Carragher, that's the best thing about it, is that it's our era perfectly. I love hearing the stories and the behind the scenes stuff that happens around Liverpool. Yeah.
Wow.
The stuff that happens around the time, to get his sense of it. He talked about that feeling, and it's you talk about that photo on the halfway line, them all charging for it, and his feelings. That I've watched that game back so many times, and I love the fact that he goes down with cramp twice in that game in extra time, like big orange, and he gets pulled back on, he gets back into the firing line. When we win it, and he became the fastest player on the park. I love it. I love his recollection of that. Absolutely incredible.
I love listening to talk about, how Liverpool need to go over the line with the trophies. I found that really interesting because we know how great this Liverpool side has been this season. You do have those little doubts at the back of your mind, and this is a guy who is a passionate fan, but he's a pundit and an analyst as well. So for him to be able to take a step back and sort of take his red tinted glasses off and go, there are problems there, and he never said it was Jurgen Klopp's problems. What he said is there's a problem that needs fixing, and Liverpool Football Club exists to win trophies. They were his words, and they were somebody else's words before him, and he's exactly right with that, Paul. And this might be, and it should be, the time when Liverpool can change all that. But wasn't it great hearing him talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold as well?
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. I think, look, what's great is to hear someone who, you rightly said about the quality of him as a pundit. This is one of the two, in my opinion, the two best pundits in football at the moment, and it's great to know that he shares the opinions that we have of players, in particular the Trent Alexander-Arnold stuff. And I love how glowing he was in his praise. I love that notion when he says he had a bad game.
He's a young player.
Well, it doesn't mean his Liverpool career is over. He's a young player. He's going to get better. He talked about praising his qualities, but I really liked, again, the insight of it. And it's something that I hope Trent gets to hear it, was him saying, I hope he's got that little bit of fire in his belly, the thing that says, I don't want to lose my place. I hope he doesn't get big-headed, because the thing that gave Carragher that longevity was never feeling like he'd made it at Liverpool, which, again, you talk to him, he's a man of supreme confidence. You feel like he walks on water or whatever. I love that little insight to the fact that he almost never genuinely believed he was.
He said he was talking about the Champions League final in 2005, and what were the words that he said? I didn't feel like we were good enough to be there. And they were looking around at half time, and he went through it. He missed Hernan Crespo, by the way. I think he mentioned Shevchenko, he mentioned Stam, he mentioned Maldini, and all these great players that Milan had at the time. And you think, wow, and then you remember that Liverpool side, and you go, we were all thinking that. Yet, for some reason, we had a little bit of belief until the game got about 44 minutes in. For me, I remember you were going round at half-time, just grabbing people, going, believe. That's Paul, that's ever the optimist, 3-0 down in the Champions League final. I'm telling you, right now, that's exactly what he was doing. We've got Darren Farley next, but just to wrap up on the Jamie Carragher stuff, Paul, I mean, it's great to see him talking so openly and honestly about his Liverpool career. It's great to hear that why he went out at Liverpool as well.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant, and he's kind of hinted at this in the past, but like he didn't want to be a substitute or whatever. But he didn't want to. He went out the way that you see so many professional sportsmen, and they totally ruin their legacies.
Yeah.
You see it in Formula One, you see it in boxing, you see it in tennis, you see it in all kinds of other sports where guys are just too. You don't know how to live without it, so they keep coming back for one more hurrah. They keep pushing themselves further and further, and they haven't got it. And what I liked about it was that it's the self-awareness. He knows what it's like, and this is what makes him a good pundit to some extent, because he's the kind of guy who calls a spade, and he's like, I know that he knew that the fans would almost disregard all of his good years. They would turn on him if he put in a bad performance and couldn't do it at that level for the team, which is amazing.
There was a turning point towards the end of his career where it did sort of creep into the fan base, if you remember, and he came back into the side, didn't he?
Yeah, completely. It's funny, we have a history of that with centre halves, don't we? I remember Sammy Hippier going through a similar thing, and he had that last season resurgence, and then, my God, we could have done with him a year after he left as well. But yeah, Jamie Carragher, amazing that he was so switched on, because you're right, and he said it himself, I wasn't in my prime anymore, but I knew I could hold my own. But he also knew that wasn't going to be the case forever, and he didn't want to become that burden to Liverpool, because in a game, I don't want to boil Evertonian here, this is a lad who grew up. I mean, it was different in the 80s, of course. Like, it wasn't as vitriolic, the hatred between Evertonians had for Liverpool, but he grew up having no love for Liverpool whatsoever. To be able to have that level of understanding to totally and utterly get into the mindset and totally love Liverpool as much as anyone who's loved them for their entire life could, and to know what it means, what Liverpool means, and how important it is, and not wanting to. Here's a guy who's won European Cups at Liverpool, he's won FA Cups, he's won UEFA Cups, you know, League Cup. He's been there, been an integral part to be like, I don't want to let Liverpool down, so I'm not gonna let Liverpool down. I'm gonna go out at my peak.
And that's it. He knows that he wanted to be a one man club. Yeah, a one club man. For a long time, and I thought that was brilliant. And listen, he is one of my favourite players of all time. I rank him higher than Steven Gerrard, you know, as while I grew up, my favourite Liverpool player, because it's that heart, it's that desire, it's that passion that he showed every time he took to the pitch. We saw a great little clip of him, and the one where he's chasing down Ronaldo, and then he chases down Rooney, and then he does it in the Champions League final. You mentioned it before, he's got cramp. He just never gave up, and it kind of gave me heart.
Yeah.
You know, I was never going to be a footballer, I was never good enough to be a footballer. And I kind of alluding that Jamie wasn't, but that's not the case at all, because he didn't have the skill set of other players.
Exactly.
He bridged that gap.
Yeah,
he bridged that gap.
Exactly, because you in the way that we analyse modern football, you could think that what you've said there is going towards the offensive. Not that at all. You're dead right. Steven Gerrard was the lad who from 18 years old was slaloming past defenders and smacking stuff into the top bin. He was banging goals in for fun and being on the way to being a genuinely world class player. And I think Carragher touched upon world class in his peak in the type of defender that he was. But you're dead right. What he did was he embodied that spirit of the never say die attitude, and nothing summed it up better for me than that Istanbul moment where he goes down with cramp, he goes on for treatments because he's just stretched and stopped the goal going in, and he can't move. So they get him and they throw him back on again. And what's the first thing he has to do? He has to do it again, and he goes down again with cramp, and he's raging because he's
cramping up. He's in pain.
He's playing at the limits of his abilities, and he was prepared to die for the cause. And that's something much more relatable. You can't relate to Steven Gerrard in the same way.
Nobody had the skill set. Nobody, literally nobody in Liverpool for a 25-year, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year period was as good as Steven Gerrard. You can't relate to that, but you can relate to Jamie Carragher. You can relate to throwing everything on it when you can't get there and you somehow do. That's what you bought into. That's what embodied that Liverpool side. That's what embodied that 2005 run. Everything about it. We came up against Juventus, we came up against AC Milan, there's other teams in there, and we beat them, and they were better sides than us, and we beat them because we had men like him at the back. We had men like Steven Gerrard who had the skill set, and we never knew when to die, as was evidenced by that comeback in Istanbul.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And what I like is the way that he brought it back to the modern team, the team that we're looking at right now. Very complimentary of how good that team is, and very much how, and I take great heart in it because, look, they're just stories. The stories aren't relevant. Jurgen Klopp said it perfectly well, and it flies in the face of everything we've been waving the flag and the banner for about how important Liverpool's history is. But Jurgen Klopp said, it was about that idea of it's like your granddad's stories don't mean just because your granddad could do something doesn't mean you can do it, basically. And but hearing Jamie say that, you can't help but take heart, because there's something about Liverpool that's so good, and there's something about us that if a Liverpool team that's as piss poor across the field as that team in 2005 can do it, it doesn't guarantee that Liverpool can do it this time around. Of course it doesn't. It has no bearing whatsoever on this team and its likelihood of getting past Roma, but it tells you that if you get your mindset right, you get your mentality right, you get your game plan right, then you can achieve miracles in football. Plug in the better players that we've got this time around, both very, very
well. That's it. Everybody knows we've got Mo Salah, we've got Roberto Firmino, we've got Sadio Mane, we've got great defenders and Virgil van Dijk, who's improved the level of all of those centre-halves, and we've got a favourable draw in Roma. If we can have a tenth of the spirit that Jamie Carragher showed over his Liverpool career added to that, then we've got something special. And we've got something special anyway. We don't need that because Jurgen Klopp has been cultivating this sort of this just togetherness around this Liverpool squad at the moment, and you look at them and you see them, you just have to look today. Have you seen them on Instagram today? They're all laughing and joking and they're taking the mick out of each other. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's ripping his phones off Dejan Lovren. Dejan Lovren's best mate with Mo Salah. By the way, that is absolutely how you turn your Liverpool career around, isn't it? Go and get yourself best mate with the 40 goal a season, man, Mo Salah, and then you know what? Everyone's like, well, you know, you got to keep Lucas to keep the Brazilians happy. Well, you got to keep Dejan Lovren to keep bloody Mo Salah happy, and that's what you're looking at the moment, aren't you? I think we've got a couple more minutes to go. Obviously, you can donate. The link is in the description. It is below as well. It's 2 charities we're here for tonight. We've mentioned it earlier on in the stream, but if you're just joining us and you don't know why we're here to raise funds for the 23 Foundation, doing great work around the community in Liverpool. We're here to raise funds for the Firefighters charity as well. These 2 great charities have joined together. Donate there. If you've got a few spare pennies and you can, then please do donate. Firefighters charity are doing great things for firefighters who put their lives on the line for us daily and nightly. Obviously, it's at the forefront of everybody's feelings at the moment with Grenfell. 9 months, it's not been dealt with right. There's firefighters who are involved there who just haven't had the support that they need. Looks like we're moving on to Darren Farley next. So yeah, we've got probably 1 more minute to fill. Probably a little bit longer than the 5 minutes that they said, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one last thing, you know, it's a disgrace that we're in the situation that firefighters don't get the support that they should do, particularly in the wake of Grenfell. Look, if you've been watching the stream the whole time, you've seen the videos. It's worth mentioning. If you have, don't give money you haven't got, but if you have got money to give, please do give it. Phenomenal charity and a phenomenal night so far.
So we'll go back to Willie Miller right
for you tonight. I just want to explain how the raffle is going to work, because we've got so many items. And a very, very big thank you to Typhoon as well, who've sponsored this evening. They've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much. So there is a good chance that everybody, thank you, everybody will win at least a tea bag on the raffle. So what we're going to do is we're doing the draw. The lads are just going to do the draw and the girls are just going to do the draw. They're going to stick a raffle ticket on a prize. So on your way out, have your ticket ready and you'll see if you've won. There are some brilliant prizes, courtesy of Halliwell Jones there tonight. There are the keys to a brand new BMW 5 Series in the raffle there. So only the keys, love. You don't get the car as well, so have a word with our kid. He'll get you any car you want. Okay, we are now on with the entertainment. And I'm going to introduce a young guy who started off, he became a YouTube sensation. And I remember watching him, and it was one of those videos that got sent round to everybody on everyone's phone and all that, saying, have you seen this lad doing Peter Crouch and then doing the impressions? And then it went on from there. And then we saw him on the television all the time. And now he does so much work on YouTube and also on the corporate circuit as well. He's a great lad and he's a great impressionist. The many voices of Mr. Darren Farley.
Thank you. Yeah, you're all right? Are you all right, love? You're okay? He wasn't that bad, was he? Fuck. I nearly fell off my chair, to be fair. Yeah, I think that obviously the first thing I'd like to say is it's an absolute pleasure for me to be here. It's an incredible charity, 2 incredible charities. It's a pleasure. Firefighters, you know, proper heroes, aren't they? Proper heroes. I think we can all agree with that. Proper heroes. And of course, the 23 Foundation, the work that goes in is absolutely brilliant. So anyway, I'll start now. So we've heard from a football legend, but we've got a few more big names from the world of football in with us tonight. Now we're going to start by speaking to a man who spent 6 glorious months in charge of Liverpool Football Club. We'll never forget them days. Mr. Roy Hodgson is with us now. Roy Hodgson is with us now. Roy, now back in the game, manager of Crystal Palace. I mean, are you confident you can keep Palace in the Premier League, Roy?
Well, of course, I'm very confident. I think we've got some wonderful players who are playing very, very well. Of course, we've got some incredible players. We've got to work very, very well. But I'm very confident. I'm very confident of keeping Crystal Palace in the Premier League. I'm very confident. In fact, I went past the bookmakers today. I went past the bookmakers, and in that, it booked me a betting shop. I went past the betting shop, and in that betting shop window, it said the Crystal Palace are 10-1 to stay in the Premier League. 10-1. Now, for anybody that doesn't understand betting, that means if you put £10 on, you will lose £10. Because we're shocking, yeah. I haven't really got a clue what I'm doing, but of course I was the manager of Liverpool, as you know. We had some wonderful times, didn't we, Jamie? And some, incredible players that we brought in, Christian Poulsen and Milan Jovanovic. It was a great time, of course. But then I went on to manage England. I went on to manage the England national team, and I think that we did struggle. I think we struggled in one particular area, the pitch. But of course, it was very tough.
Thank you very much. Roy Hodgson, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to move on, and we're going to speak to a man. I mean, Jamie Carragher mentioned Istanbul 2005, and this man was the pinnacle of that incredible campaign and win. Possibly the greatest player to wear the shirt of Liverpool, Mr. Steven Gerrard, is with us now. And Steven, now back at Liverpool, working with the youngsters. I mean, what brought you back to Liverpool, Steven? Yeah, of course. If I remember right, I think it was an aeroplane that brought me back. I'm not sure. It could have been a train or a bus. I can't remember. But yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a very exciting time to come back, to be working at the club that I've got a lot of passion for. I played for the club for many years. It's incredible to be back, and as you can see, I'm absolutely buzzing to be back. It's a pure joy. It's a pure joy. But yeah, of course, towards the end of my time as a Liverpool player, it was tough. We tried to win the league. We came so close, but I suffered. I had a few injury problems. I had a knee problem. I had an ankle problem. But I think the worst injury problem I had was the back problem that I had. But I suppose that's what happens when you carry a football team for 15 seasons. So, yeah, of course. Thank you very much, Steven Gerrard. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to move on. We're going to speak to another former Liverpool player. Now, this fella wasn't involved in Istanbul 2005 because he left the club just as Rafa Benitez came in, went to Real Madrid, went on to sit on many benches across Europe. Michael Owen is with us now. Michael Owen, now working for BT Sport as a pundit. And Michael, look, now working for BT Sport as a pundit. I mean, are you enjoying your time as a pundit, Michael? Well, I think during my career I played for many teams and many great teams during my career. I was very lucky to play for so many great teams. And for me, working for BT Sport as a pundit, I mean, no matter the way you look, no matter how you look at it, I mean, it's very good, but it's very similar to my football career. I sit on my arse and pick up 100 grand a week, so it's very similar to me, really. But it was very difficult towards the end of my career playing because most of my managers used to put me in the same position, just in behind the front two, the physio and the kit man on the bench. It was a very difficult one, really, and obviously I'm back in Liverpool today and everyone still absolutely hates me, so yeah. Thank you very much. Michael Owen. Thanks, Michael. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you. We're going to speak to another local lad now. We're going to speak to a man back at his beloved club, Everton, Wayne Rooney. is with us now. Wayne Rooney joins us now. And Wayne, back at Everton. And Wayne, a bit of news this week came out that there was a survey done about Sam Allardyce, whether he should keep his job as Everton manager, Wayne. I mean, what's your opinion on that, Wayne? Do you agree with that? Yeah, I think obviously what is it? I think obviously when you've come on, you've been practicing, come on. Remember, can I have a large sausage dinner? No, Wayne. Wayne. Sorry, come on. Yeah, I think obviously it's I've got to be honest, I think I think obviously the survey that's done the right survey, because I've got to be really honest, and I don't think he's the right man for the job. I've struggled nationally under Steve Allardyce quite a bit. And look, I'm going to be really honest with everybody. I do actually want to leave Everton. This morning, I went into the manager's office. I asked him for a transfer request. He asked me to put it in writing. So that was the end of that. I think obviously it was great to come back to the club that obviously I've grown up and watched throughout my career. Obviously, it's when I first came back, the club were really great to me. They let me pick my own squad number, but I couldn't really think of any, so I just said the stick and the circle. Number 9. But yeah, I think obviously it's not the worst manager. Obviously, I didn't have a great relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson. He wasn't a very nice man. One day in training, I said to him, Gaffer, I've got a stone in my boot. He said, you've got 24 stone in the other boot, Fatas. Thank you very much, Wayne Rooney. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. We're going to move on. We're going to speak to a former manager now of Liverpool, another former manager of Liverpool now, Mr. Brendan Rodgers joins us now managing in one of the toughest leagues in Europe, the Scottish Premier League. Incredibly tough league. And Brendan's with us now. Brendan, listen, you listened to Jamie, he was talking about Liverpool coming close to winning the Premier League under Rafa Benitez, and under yourself. I mean, do you think, what was the reason Liverpool never won the Premier League, Brendan? Well, I was very proud, certainly, and some of the players we had there, we had some wonderful, beautiful human beings who were working hard to win games. It was very difficult there. It was very difficult. We had some very young players like Colo Touré and Ricky Lambert. And certainly, we were very close to winning the Premier League, but for me, we had players with hunger. We had beautiful human beings with hunger. And Luis Suarez was a wonderful player, and he had a beautiful appetite for human flesh. But as I said before, he was a beautiful human being. But we worked hard and we tried to win the Premier League. But when we finished runner-up in the Premier League, I spoke with the players. I said, I'm very proud
of you players there. And I said, look, runner-up, it's not so bad there. I said, look, if we can finish runner-up again next season, I would be very, very proud. There was a wee bit of a misunderstanding there because we finished runner-up in every single game. So as I said before, it's very difficult for me. But obviously, I'm working. It's a very difficult league, the Scottish Premier League. It's a very difficult league. It's really tough. It's really tough. You know, last week we were playing Partick Thistle, and they got a throw in there. They got a throw, and it's a very difficult league, but we're working hard. Beautiful human beings. Thank you very much, Brendan Rodgers. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. We're going to catch a word now with probably England's main hope for the World Cup. A man who's been in the press quite a bit in the last week or so. Mr. Harry Kane is with us now. Harry Kane is with us. And Harry, look, you know, there's been a lot of talk about a couple of things. I mean, yourself now, you know, you want to go and you want to be the top scorer in the Premier League. Okay, that's fine. You're up against Mo Salah. I mean, do you think you can win that award, Harry? Do you think you can be the top scorer in the Premier League?
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, I think the chance of the season, yeah. Yeah, I think obviously we've got the chances, yeah. But yeah, I think that it's not fair because you got Salah and he's scoring goals, but yeah, he obviously Liverpool, yeah, they won. But that wasn't Salah, that was me. And that, yeah, that's it. You know, I should be getting the credit for that. Yeah, obviously. And that's it, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, that's me. People always talk about the man who went on the moon, Neil Armstrong. That wasn't him. That was me. It's not right. It's not right. Yeah, obviously.
Thank you very much, Harry Kane. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to move on, and we're going to speak to another former manager of Liverpool. Now with Newcastle United, Rafa Benitez joins us now. Rafa Benitez, as mentioned, Istanbul 2005 will never be forgotten. And look, Rafa, you've managed a lot of top players, a lot of fantastic players. I've got to ask you, who's the best, Rafa? Who's the best player you've managed or coached in your time as a manager in football? Yeah, I think that always there was a really lot of heart. The players always work very hard. I think that you can see that the players we had Gerrard, Carragher, Lucas. Yeah, he was a fantastic player. Also, you know that when you have the right player who is compact, who can work hard, who can understand the tic-tacs, tactics. Yeah, he can know this, but he was really good. Because the player was really fantastic. But I think, yeah, I have to say, I think my favorite player was a player called Javier Mascherano. He was my favorite player, and the reason he was my favorite player was he was a fantastic player. He was, but the reason he was my favorite player was he was very hard. He was very he was very physical. He was so physical, and he was so hard. He was so tough for the club. He was so hard that one time we played Chelsea at Anfield. And he was so tough. We played Chelsea at Anfield that he came into the dressing room with a big gashed leg. We still don't know whose leg that was. He was, yeah, he was a fantastic player. Thank you very much. Rafa Benitez. Thanks, Rafa. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. I'm going to catch a quick word now with Phil Jones, the Manchester United defender. Just a very brief word. Now, Phil, look, Manchester United's form this season under Jose. Can you see yourself getting back in the plans of Jose Mourinho? Phil Jones, thank you very much, Phil. Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Moving swiftly on, I've got to speak to the manager of Burnley now. The manager of Burnley, Mr. Sean Dyche. And what a job Mr. Sean Dyche has done this season with Burnley. Obviously, we've got a few Burnley fans in. I thought there was only 10 of them. Sean Dyche is with us now. And Sean, look, what's the reason for Burnley's success? What is the reason? Burnley on the verge of Europe. What's the reason, Sean, that Burnley could have this incredible league finish? I mean, it's incredible, Sean.
Well, I think for me personally, it's the way we play the game. That's the way we play. And personally, the way we are as a team, we're a strong team, the way we play. And the way I feel about our squad, our team, is the fact that you've got these footballers out there now who are sitting there eating chicken and avocado before a game. Do you know what we eat? Wood. Nails. Glass. That's what we're all about. And that's what Burnley do. We're real men. And that's what it's all about for me, personally.
Thank you very much, Sean Dyche. Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. We're going to speak to a man currently out of the game now. Mr. Harry Redknapp is with us now. Mr. Harry Redknapp is with us. And Harry, last job, Birmingham City. I mean, did you get a good payoff, Harry?
Ooh. Were you? That was a terrific payoff. Were you? It was a terrific payoff. It was a terrific club. Were you? Woo. It was a trip. Listen, I got a terrific payoff. Birmingham City. What a fantastic club. What a fantastic. They gave me 50 grand. 50 grand. After tax, 3.5 million quid. Were you? Absolutely terrific. A terrific club. Were you?
Thank you very much, Harry Redknapp. Thank you, Harry. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. And I'm going to finish. All right, lad. I'm going to finish with the main man, Mr. Jamie Carragher now. And Jamie, can we have an analysis, please, of Liverpool's season? Just in a few words, please, Jamie. As clear as you can, please, Jamie.
Well, look at Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal, those teams this season. Look at the left-hand side of Chelsea, Salah. Look at those sides going to become the season so fat. We're just seeing Liverpool side. Going forwards, they've got great sides. And going forward, you've got the right-hand side, so Salah, Mane, Firmino. Both sides, let's see what's going on. That's what we're doing this season. But they can improve, and Chelsea and Arsenal, those teams are starting to push up. But you can see that. That's what they're going to push it forward. So that's what I can see from this season. But I can see that this season. So I can't be much more clear than that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thanks very much. Like I said at the beginning, thanks, Mum. Like I said at the beginning, obviously it's a pleasure for me to be here for the two incredible charities. I'm sure you know all about it, what you've seen tonight, and it's absolutely brilliant as well. Also great to see Jamie, top man. I'm sure you'll all agree, great example for the city. Top man, pleasure. And guys, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Darren Farley, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for him. Thanks, Darren. Right, guys, just before we get on with the auction, and then I know you're all waiting to dance. Just before we get on with the auction, I'd like to call upon the CEO of Thai Food Tea, and his name is Somnath Saha. It was much better when Gary Jones was in charge. If you'd like to come up, please, Somnath. Who'd just like to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, can you thank everybody here? And we should thank 23 Foundation and specifically to Jamie. And we are proud to be part of this and work with Jamie. We have discussed with Jamie that we'll be working few more things with you, definitely, going forward. The Fire Brigade charity also.
There you go. Just, there you go. Just sing one off the album. There you go.
And the Fire Brigade charity also is a fantastic, because we know the Fire Brigade, the fantastic job they do. Taifu as a factory, because we have a, last few years, we have a 1 or 2 fire occasion, and we know the fantastic job they have done for us. And we really thankful to them. And we are proud to be part of them and to support them. And going forward, we will be working with this charity and the community quite a lot. And further,
Okay, yeah.
the people, you don't know that in terms of Taifu, I must say that we are proud to be the part of Liverpool and the Wirral, and Steve knows that. The lot of work we do, and the people who don't know that 1 in 4 cup in Britain produced by us, Taifu in the Liverpool factory. The team is here, and we are proud that we serve the best served drink in Britain, that's a tea, and 1 in 4 cup in Britain is produced in Taifu in Liverpool factory. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Samna. And that's great to hear as well that they're going to support further with the Firefighters charity and the 23 Foundation. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sorry about the interference. I think one of the girls must have a coil fitted or something and it's picking up. It's one of those radio mics, so it must be one of them. Try, keep your legs crossed, girls. It mightn't interfere then. See what happens. Right. Right, folks, you heard at the start. We're going to go into the auction now, and the auction is a very, very important part of the night. And when we do the auction, I will try and keep it as brief as I want, and as I can, and I will try and keep it as entertaining as I can. But just before we do go, we've got a video now. It's hard to imagine, certainly, what I think the whole country was just horrified at Grenfell and what happened there. But you imagine being a firefighter going in there and the sights that they saw. And it's not just there, they're seeing that on a daily basis, and they have done since the Firefighters charity started. They're just normal human beings. But we've got a video now, I think, that we're going to play, which will give you some idea of why we're trying to raise the funds this evening. Ready when you are, lads.
I've done 30 years in the fire service, started off obviously as a fireman, firefighter now, and finished as an operational station commander, serving at Radford Road Fire Station in the centre of Coventry. You did what you joined for, which was to go out and look after and save people and maybe put yourselves at a reasonable risk to save somebody else. I mean, some of the incidents I've been to 2 air crashes where everyone was killed, and we stayed on scene to cut body parts free. House fires, I've had people that are just burnt beyond recognition.
Well, there you go. It's been a great night here at the Ladder 23 night. I'm now joined by Jamie Carragher. Jamie, that was one of the most insightful interviews I think I've ever seen you give. I thought Richard Ashcombe was brilliant. I thought you were brilliant. It was great to hear how you wanted to retire at Liverpool. How you always wanted to retire.
Yeah, I was never going to play for anyone else. I'm not sure I was good enough to play for anyone else, but yeah, it was a dream to play, and that was one of the most proudest things for me at Liverpool. I was fortunate enough to be involved in a lot of good times, a few bad times. That's part of a football career, but the thing I'm most proud of is to play for Liverpool my whole career, and I know that is something special that probably very few players, not just in this club's history, but any club's history really can say that they've done, and to do it for a club as big as, you know, as famous as our club makes me very proud.
Okay, and one final thing before we wrap up the stream for the evening. If you want to donate, by the way, you can do. The links on the screen right now, and the link is in the description. If you've got a few spare pennies and you want to back the 23 Foundation and the Firefighters charity, please do use the link below to donate for that one. Jamie, how important has tonight been for you personally?
No, it's been a great night. We're involved in lots of different things over the year, but to have a big night like this within the city, and also to link up with the firefighters, I mean the job they do, you know, pales into insignificance really what we do, and you know, footballers and different things, but hopefully together we can raise a few quid, and that's the main thing.
Brilliant, Jamie. Thanks very much for your time. I think it's been a fantastic evening. Everyone's really enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, of course, and don't forget to stay tuned for the Redmen TV. We'll be back on Saturday with your West Brom build-up. Cheers for watching. Ta-ra.